to you about is first of all give you a little bit of background about the ICAW and why I think I've got something relevant to say. We are a membership organisation. We have 135,000 members. And while the EW stands for England and Wales, our members are actually in 160 different countries around the world. And roughly half our members work in a business, and the other half are working on a business in what we call practice, advising clients on how to make the best of their business. We carry out surveys every now and again, so that's where we think we're harnessing a lot of technical inside knowledge. One of the recent bits of research that we did was into debt finance, and I'm going to be setting the scene a little later, looking at some of the results of this, which was just released last month. The important part of any financial advisor is to add value to their business. So I hope those of you who might be advising, or those of you who are receiving finance, make sure that you ask the right questions to get the best value. The very last point that I made there is timing. And that's where I say to you, do you know what the steward at the House of Commons bar says at the end of each day? He says, "Time, gentlemen, please, till you've got no second rooms to go to." Now, that is to stress the importance of both timing and delivery for good humour. I haven't got that technique, as you can tell by the muted response to my best joke of the day. And it's the same with financial advice. It's got to be delivered well, but it's got to be timed at the right time. So if your business is looking to expand or contract, or you've got some dark days coming, don't leave it too late to seek advice on what you should be doing. Timing is crucial, and it's usually a case that the earlier is the better. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set the scene, have a look at some of this research. I'm going to look at different sources of finance. We're going to look at why it's important to match finance with the purpose of that finance, something that I think has slipped a lot, certainly in the last few years. I'll be covering where to look for some of that finance, and then right at the end, and I hope there's going to be enough time, I'm going to be talking about how to be prepared. I can't promise to make a bad case into a good case, but I do hope to give you some important hints to make a good case even better for when you go and talk to people who might be lending you some money. I was in the Scouts, so I do hold be prepared as a good motto. But you can always spot the people who weren't in the Scouts, because to say I was in the Scouts, did. And everybody who was in the Scouts knows that you don't say did in the Scouts, that's what the Cubs say. So there's your first. How to tell the difference between someone who was just in the Cubs or went on to the big boys. Right, let's start off by setting the scene. And it's the first chance for me to check that you're all alert and that our system is working, because I want to gauge what sort of an audience we've got in the room today. So that will help me direct some of my points, as well as giving us some useful information. So can we bring up the first question, please? Oh yes. Oh, really nice. Did you all get the lesson this morning? I think I managed. At least I didn't get a message back saying that I hadn't voted properly. So this is what I want to find out. Just from the size of the organisation that you're here representing, how many employees do you have? And if you're going to press number 1, then you're what we class as a micro business. 2, you're a small business. 3, you're a medium-sized business. And in case there's anybody sneaked in, 4 is if you're a large business. So can you vote, please, with the absence of any music going diddly-dum, diddly-dum, diddly-dum? Has everybody voted? Your handset vibrates when your vote is registered or set. Has everybody had that tingling moment? Okay. So almost half and half, 55% in micro businesses and 45% in small and medium. So I will be bumping small and medium together just to make up the numbers, but that's very interesting. Thank you for that. Right, let's proceed. So this is some of the research that we carried out, and if I refer to my notes, it'll save me having to twist my head around all the time. Right, I'm going to be talking about what businesses do now. I look at our research, and then we'll have a little bit of a pause when you should have had a survey sent to your devices, and I'll have a little pause while you answer the 9 questions that are on there, and then we'll do somebody else. We'll do some jiggery-pokery with those answers, and we'll look at those right at the end to see what your experience is compared with our survey. So in our research, one of the first questions we asked businesses, and it was over 1,000 businesses, were, do you have external finance? Simple yes, no. And the responses we got were that, surprising to me, 65% of small and medium businesses said they did, and 42% of micro businesses, that's the under 10 employees, 55% of you guys, have external finance. I have always heard that many smaller businesses don't have recourse to any external finance, that they manage it all themselves, try and keep the bank balance in the black. And according to this survey, that is indeed what 58% of the respondents are doing. Next question we asked was, what kind of debt finance do you operate with? And these were the different answers. Overdraft was the main one. That's the bars on the left. It's 46% of the medium businesses, small and medium businesses. 27% of micro businesses had an overdraft. Bank loans came next. It's quite interesting there that I don't know whether you've had experience with this yourselves, but where an overdraft has been fairly consistent, banks are now looking to convert a chunk of that, a half, whatever. They might make demands of differently, from an overdraft to a loan, which they will then seek to be repaid over somewhere between 3 and 5 years. So they're looking to make an overdraft that is more flexible and occasionally gets down to zero, and recognising that a loan is perhaps more permanent finance. So they are starting to do that there. Then there's asset-based finance, HP leasing typically, loan notes, which are non-bank longer-term loans. Invoice discounting becoming a lot more common now, even for smaller businesses, although there's only 2% of the respondents. We can see that's a relatively high 13% for our medium and smaller businesses. And then corporate bonds, mezzanine finance, and debt factoring coming in with just 1, 2 or 3% at the end. Then we said how many have applied for finance within the new finance within the last 12 months. And a surprising small number of respondents there, 19% of medium businesses and small businesses, and only 13% of micro businesses. And again, this was something Brendan referred to in his opening remarks, that a high proportion of businesses who have applied for finance have been turned down. So I think that these figures don't represent as much that there's a lack of demand, which is what many banks are saying to government at the moment. They're saying that there isn't a demand there, people aren't asking us for finance. I think it's more that people are choosing not to go and ask for finance because they know that A, they're likely to be knocked back, or B, there's an awful lot more hoops to be jumped through to get even a yes or a no. So it's less that there's a demand, more that people are choosing to do it in some other way. So we asked, if you've chosen, or for some reason haven't got new finance, how have you managed? What have you done instead? And these are what people have been doing instead. They've used their existing finances, so they've operated within the resources that they've got. Next couple of columns are that they've reduced their working capital. Now, to do that, that means that they've either worked down their stock levels, carried less stock, they've started stretching their creditors, so